Welcome everyone to our presentation. My name is Marcin Zajączkowski.
And I'm Łukasz Szczęsny.
And we'll be talking about leveraging Groovy and Job DSL to maintain a Jenkins configuration in code. Before we start, a few words about us.
So my name is Łukasz. I'm a software engineer at Uber. By the way, we are hiring in Vilnius. If you are interested, just ping me on, after the presentation. I'm free and open source and open hardware lover. I'm also a co-organizer of Warsaw Linux user group. So if you are interested in Linux stuff, you can join our mailing list or something like that.
I in turn specialize in automatic testing and things related to high code quality. In addition, I am an enthusiast of highly or widely specified parallelism and things related to continuous delivery. For a living, together with a group of passionate geeks, we lead a software house called Arte. During the presentation, we'll bring up topics related to problems in manual maintaining Jenkins configuration and show the way how Job DSL and infrastructure tools can help us to cope with it. There will be a short continuous delivery case study and, of course, live demo.
Yes, so let's start with manual Jenkins maintenance. How many of you use Jenkins in daily work? Oh, okay. So, so probably you know that if you want to configure Jenkins via UI, it's pretty slow, error prone, and this UI is not the best UI in the world, I would say. So it's also really problematic when you have few jobs and a few plugins. It's really problematic to manage Jenkins via UI, and it's getting even more harder when you have microservices. There are several microservices deployed for several countries, for multiple products, and using deployment pipeline with several steps. So it's mission impossible to do, to manage it by hand. So what we can do with this? So automation to the rescue. So Marcin will tell you now about Jenkins Job DSL.
Yes, it's the tool which consists of two parts. And the first one is domain-specific language, which allows us to define job configuration in code. The second one, the plugin, transforms that configuration to real jobs running in real Jenkins instances. Let's start with the configuration part. And it's a Groovy-based DSL, which we can develop outside of Jenkins. It's very important because we are no longer bound to writing code in a browser window, but we can take this code, import it into our favorite IDE, have code completion, type checks, and do unit testing. In addition, it's worth to remember that it's still Groovy, so we can use all Groovy magic if needed. Let's take a look at the simple example of simple job created with Jenkins Job DSL. This project has source code kept on GitHub. It's triggered using SCM pooling as mentioned in cron expression, and it executes just a single Gradle task publish. Looks quite better than corresponding XML.
Yeah, so to click this job manually, you have to go to configuration job, click 100,000 checkboxes, and then do stuff. And now you have, in few lines, you have prepared job for building stuff.
As I already mentioned, there is a Groovy under the hood, so we can leverage it to create more complicated scripts. Here we take branches available in our GitHub project, and after that we parse received JSON file using JSON slurper available in Groovy, and having the list of available branches, we can create a separate project for each branch. Still it's still much easier than clicking a number of jobs in Jenkins manually. What Job DSL can offer? And first of all, it provides comprehensive support for all the things in Jenkins core. But what is the real power of Jenkins? Plugins, exactly. In that field, Job DSL excels as well. And currently we have support for over 180 plugins, and the community is very vibrant, and there is still a lot of pull requests with support for the new plugins and for the new features which are available in newer versions of already supported plugins. Of course, sometimes we can meet a situation when something is not supported yet, but then we can use a very powerful configuration block, which provides a manipulation tool for XML manipulation at the node level. Because of that, virtually everything what is possible in XML should be reachable in DSL. It's time to take a look at the second part, the plugin, which is installed in Jenkins, and it is used in so-called seed jobs. When those jobs are executed, the plugin read configuration from DSL files and transform it into real views and jobs. Under the hood, it updates XML configuration files used internally by Jenkins. You might ask why you should give Job DSL a try, and in my opinion, the main reason is the ability to keep configuration in code. I bet that most of developers and DevOps prefer to work with code than with XML or clicking UI. In addition, that source code is a single point of truth, which could and should be backed by SCM like Git. Thanks to that, it opens ability to use another techniques which we usually use in normal source code development, like code reviews or pull requests. This, in turn, contributes to higher Jenkins reliability. Furthermore, Job DSL provides support for automatic testing. Without having access to running Jenkins instance, we can generate output XMLs and confirms that they look exactly what we expected. Last but not least, the solution is quite scalable. Having simple jobs, we should be able to run hundreds of them in a few seconds, maybe several seconds. Okay, nothing is perfect, and Job DSL, the main issue with the main drawback of using Job DSL, I would mention quite steep learning curve. This is especially visible when you have a custom framework built on top of Job DSL. In that case, introduction of the new person to project can take some time. Another potential issue is fact that unfortunate change in your DSL script can lead to a deletion of some jobs or all the jobs available in your Jenkins. Of course, they can be easily recreated using Job DSL, but some other things like job execution history, which is not managed by Job DSL, have to be restored using external backup service.
Yes, a friend of ours in previous company, he wanted to remove few jobs, like 8 of jobs, and he misplaced exclamation mark in if statement. So he removed all the jobs except those 8. Recovery took us, I don't know, literally 5-10 minutes. Except setting manually build IDs, because we depended on build IDs for versioning, but after that incident, we stopped depending on build IDs, yeah.
Yes, and it's also worth to remember that Job DSL is not intended to use for global configuration management. You cannot use it to manage global credentials in Jenkins, as well as things like plugin updates or provisioning, slaves provisioning. And it's the place when infrastructure tools enter the game.
So about infrastructure, we have a lot of challenges when dealing with Jenkins. Basically, we have to install and configure Jenkins master. We install all the dependencies, all the compilers, all the Java versions we are using, all the Groovy versions, of course, as well. We have to install and configure all the plugins, connect slave, configure JDK version, as I said, configure authentication, create credentials, and a lot more. So basically, after installing Jenkins, you have to click a lot to make it ready for production use. But also, we should you should automate it. So I'll start with configuration management tools. There is plenty of configuration management tools. You can use whatever you want. You can use Sugar as well, of course. But we were using Ansible. You can use Puppet, Chef, Salt. There is a really great range of plugins or modules for those configuration management tools that can help you with managing Jenkins. Also, you can use Jenkins CLI for doing some stuff, like creating credentials, and of course, Groovy Console. Groovy Console is very powerful in Jenkins. You can do whatever you want. We're using Groovy Console, like installing plugins. We are using this from Ansible. I will show you the demo later. But we are using from Ansible. We are using Groovy script to install all the plugins and configure the plugins. So the next part is slave management. There is a lot of stuff a lot of work to properly manage slaves. So you can do management in many ways. Like you can use Swarm plugin for joining your Jenkins slave automatically to your Jenkins master. You can use, of course, Docker plugin to build something inside containers. And of course, presentation without Docker is not the presentation, so we had to put it here. And also you can use simply SSH slaves. And what about this? So next thing we want to talk about is continuous delivery in Jenkins. And we would like to present you some case study we did in some company. Yes, Marcin?
Yes, and continuous delivery. Who of you use continuous delivery in your projects? Okay, 1/3. And continuous delivery, it's in simplification, it's a clear way how to transform source code to the application running in production. Usually there is a bunch of steps, and the process of transforming that source code should be unified for all projects within an organization.
So what about continuous delivery in Jenkins? As for now, in version 1.x, it's not like a first-class citizen. You have to create a bunch of jobs which will trigger one each other. There are, of course, some plugins like Delivery Pipeline plugin, Build Flow plugin, Pipeline plugin. It's a new plugin for Jenkins. I will tell you about this later. But it's not easy and unified way to set up delivery pipelines in Jenkins. It's very hard to maintain. If you ever created a Jenkins pipeline in Jenkins and you have to manage it by hand, you know the pain. We've created custom continuous delivery framework based on Jenkins Job DSL. So this was like one standardized way for continuous delivery in this company. It was reused in all the projects in the company. So we used Ansible for infrastructure management and Rundeck for job deployment. And everything we did is open sourced on GitHub. So after this presentation, you can click the link and get the source code and use it in production, of course. So okay, it's time for a live demo. Let me change this. I have million of desktops, so. Yes? Yeah. Is it okay? So basically, I've got Vagrant machine running here with Jenkins installed. So Jenkins is ready. It was pre-built for before the conference, just to make sure that it works. Okay, let me. 1 second. One second.
In the meantime, maybe you have any question.
Yeah.
Please.
Okay. Don't you keep together with code?
The question was if we keep configuration together with code? And the answer is the configuration is code. So we have a separate code, a separate repository for Jenkins configuration. It's not bound to any specific application because usually we have one repository for all jobs all jobs created on Jenkins. So it's for every pipeline, for every project. Maybe another question.
We already have something. So basically, I already ran the code because it takes a lot of time to download all the JDKs, Jenkins, install it. So I did it at home, and I removed all the jobs because we'll configure them right now. So we have like an empty Jenkins installation. So we can go back to the console, provision the machine. Like we're seeing, like nice Ansible stuff running here. And
Maybe another question in the meantime.
yeah, so now we are installing Jenkins plugins. They are installed already, but we have to check it. Yep. And we are creating seed job. Okay, so when I reference Jenkins here, we have like seed jobs. So when we run this seed job, you can go to console output. It will clone the GitHub project with pipeline definitions. This is like a real Gradle project. This project is like a real Gradle project, so we use Gradle for building, testing, and deploying those stuff.
Now the plugin executes our configuration, and
Yes.
we see that the jobs were created.
So when we go back to Jenkins, we have a lot of jobs created. It's for brewery microservice. So we also have created like nice views with folders. You can go to PL directory and check out the delivery status of all the microservices. So everything with one click. No more clicking jobs in UI. How do you like it? Yeah, so Marcin, would you like to present this DSL code? Sure. Do your stuff.
Can I use this microphone? No. If not, what can I do? And in general, we can see this simple job configured in Job DSL, and we can take a look at the it's very we are prepared for that, and here we can add a wrapper, add a billet name to something nice build name, and of course add some additional plugins which are supported out of the box, like build pipeline view with a given name. In addition, as I already mentioned, it is possible to do some more complex stuff. It's an example with fetching jobs from GitHub, but it's a little bit simplified. And as I already mentioned, it's we have ability to have code completion. And in case I use something what is not available, we can see as the underline that there is something wrong, and we have a warning that we should try to do something with that. We can take a look at the specifications, as we can create, we can use embedded management tool to create a fake Jenkins instance, which allows us to generate XMLs, and we can make assertions that number of jobs were created, and XML files. Here we keep it in the resource folder, are exactly the same as we expect. It's sufficient in most cases, which is very useful when you have refactoring and modify your framework, your build script, to ensure that generated jobs don't change. We can take a look at the API. magic. A magic shortcut to switch to another workspace. And there is a nice browser for API available in Jenkins Job DSL. For example, we can take a look what is available in Rundeck plugin, and we have example how to use it. And of course, when there is something what is not supported already is not supported yet, we can add it manually, and later, of course, contribute back to Job DSL to make us in the future and others to use it. Do you have any question regarding that part?
Any questions so far? Okay, so let's go to the summary. So basically, automation is good for you. It will make your life easier and more pleasant, and like it's good for you in general. So also, Jenkins Job DSL is great. Together with all the infrastructure tools in your company, you can create a really cool solution for continuous delivery and continuous integration. It's like a match made in heaven, as I see Marcin wrote here. So also, from the news, we are looking forward for Jenkins 2.0 release. The preview version is already released, so you can download it and check it. It's built. The continuous delivery is built inside this Jenkins 2.0. Basically, there is, do you know Workflow plugin from Jenkins? So basically, Workflow plugin is renamed to Pipeline plugin, and CloudBees released their pipeline visualization plugin called Build Stage View. So basically, right now, continuous delivery in Jenkins 2.0 is a first-class citizen. It's really cool, and I really encourage you to try this out. Okay, so any more questions? Okay, so thank you very much.